We're going to cover a couple items today for you guys. I have today with me Jose Chirinos, who's our compliance officer in the SBO department here at RTD, and he is going to be covering RTD's procurement portal, OpenGov, how to look for solicitations, submit bids and proposals, things of that nature. And then I am Tony Pinkham, the SBE certification specialist here in the SBO, and I'm going to be going over RTD's SBE certification program. We do have a couple of special guests today from our contracts and procurement division. Just going to let them introduce themselves, Ryan Miller and Dane. We are going to let them unmute their microphones. Everybody could, have their cameras on. Just make sure that if you unmic yourself, that you are going to do it at an appropriate time, hopefully at the end of the first section, RTD's procurement portal. If you have any questions, please hold them until the end of that specific section, and then we'll address all your questions at one point in time. But Dane and Ryan, feel free to introduce yourself, what you do here with RTD, and then we'll get going with the presentation.
Thank you, Tony. Hi, everybody. My name is Ryan Miller, buyer here at RTD and Contracting and Procurement. I'm happy to join the call and looking forward to offering any help that I can. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. Dane?
Good morning, everybody. My name is Dane Caldwell. I'm a senior buyer with RTD in the Contracting and Procurement Department. I too am looking forward to the meeting. If I can help in any way, looking forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you both very much for attending. So with that being said, I already introduced Jose Chirinos, Compliance Officer, Small Business Opportunity Office, and he is going to do a quick safety moment and then walk you guys through how to navigate RTD's procurement portal. So Jose, go ahead and take it over.
Thank you, Tony. Good morning, everyone. Like Tony said, my name is Jose Chirinos. I'm one of RTD's compliance officers. I'll be sharing some information about OpenGov. First, a quick safety moment. With temperatures rising and summer right around the corner, we want to be talking about hydration. A good way is to drink water regularly, sip through the day, and don't try to spread it out. Hydrate before any physical activity, at least 30 minutes prior to engaging in physical activity. Eat hydrating foods like watermelon, cucumbers, berries. Avoid alcohol and caffeine as possible, and set reminders on your phone to make sure that you hydrate during the day. So that's the safety moment for today. So really quick, want to show you guys our team. This is the Small Business Opportunity Office team. Alexis Serrano, our manager. I am one of the compliance officers, along with Crystal Kirkland, Tony, our certification specialist, and Urvashi Shrestha. She's our SBO compliance specialist. Okay, so let's start with the purpose of the Small Business Opportunity Office. So what is our purpose? Is to ensure, let me open up my notes, I'm sorry, ensure that small and disadvantaged businesses have equal and meaningful access to all RTD contracting and procurement opportunities, creating a fair and competitive environment where diverse firms can successfully participate and contribute to RTD projects. We also need to administer and oversee the Disadvantaged Business Enterprise Program by implementing policies, monitoring participation goals, providing guidance and to contractors and vendors, and ensuring that the program requirements are consistently met. We also ensure compliance with all applicable federal civil rights laws, regulations, and funding requirements by mandating transparent processes, conducting oversight activities, and promoting accountability across RTD projects and contracts. We promote and enforce non-discrimination practices in contracting, procurement, and business participation to ensure that all firms are treated fairly regardless of race, gender, ethnicity, or other protected characteristics. And we establish and uphold eligibility standards for DBE certification by reviewing applications, verifying the qualifications, and ensuring that certified firms meet the federal and program-specific requirements. And finally, we support the growth and long-term development of small and disadvantaged businesses through outreach, technical assistance, training opportunities, networking, and capacity building initiatives that help firms compete and succeed in the marketplace. Okay. So now, as far as the why we're here and regulation-wise, what is required, the USDOT basically, whenever they wanna send funds to the different agencies, state and local governments, public transit agencies, or airport entities, those funds, we are recipients of those funds. Therefore, we are mandated by the Federal Regulation 49 CFR Part 26.29 that we are mandated to have a DBE program that will meet all the federal requirements. One of those requirements is 26.39, fostering small business participation, which is one of the main reasons why we're having this conversation today. We want to make sure that you guys are able and have the information to be able to be successful doing business with RTD. Also, part of that regulation is 49 CFR Part 26.29, which ensures that prompt payment provisions are met. Basically, we need to make sure that the DBEs working on our contracts are paid according to the prompt payments provisions established on those federal regulations. So that's one of the main purposes of our office. So now I want to go a little further into detail about your path to success, how to make sure that you guys are successful. What can you do to make sure that you are successful when looking for opportunities to expand your business? So let's talk about 7 steps about how to be successful in business. 1, preparedness, right? Are we ready? Do you have the staff, the knowledge and skills, the licenses and certifications and equipment needed to do the work that you want to do or to pursue the contracts that you want to pursue? Timeliness. When do you look for contract opportunities? Where you should look and how to look? How frequently? So these are questions that you guys need to have clear, right, in order to know how to focus your efforts and when to do it. Connections. Are we known in the business community? Are we visible? Are there marketing strategies that you're implementing to make your business more visible to everybody? Responsiveness. Are you following instructions to bidders, proposers? Is your price competitive? That's one of the questions that we usually get from a lot of you. So those are important things to consider. Quality, are you giving 100% of your efforts? Is the client impressed with your work? Are you going above and beyond? The delivery, are you meeting or exceeding expectations with the agreed budget and hopefully under the established time? And constant improvement. Are you scaling up? Are you looking for new and best ways to perform, looking for new information that might help you be more effective in your cost, in the way that you deliver your products, your projects? So let's start now by addressing one of those items, and that is where to look, how to look, when, and how to go about registering to do business with RTD. So let's talk about those steps. The first step you need to do to register your firm with RTD is to do it in the RTD's procurement portal. I wanna ask, since we're here right now, how many of you, if you can please either raise your hand or write on the chat, how many of you are already registered with RTD as a vendor in the OpenGov platform? Perfect. We see a couple hands raised. That's good to hear. And please, the purpose of this presentation is for everybody else to get the information and hopefully either register or complete your registration in the system. But that's great. We have a few of you have raised your hand and told us that you're registered, so that's excellent. So now let's continue with how do we start. So first thing you do, you go to RTD's website, rtd-denver.com. Once you go to RTD's website, you can scroll down all the way to the bottom and you're gonna find a link there that's named, titled Doing Business with RTD. Once you click, that is exactly what you're going to see right there. Once you click there, if you scroll down and you're going to be able to see those 4 boxes there. The first one is the one that you're looking for, establish business with RTD. That is the link that you're going to click. It's free of charge. There's no cost associated to registering as a vendor with RTD. Once you register, what are some of the benefits? You get IFB or RFP or RFQ notifications once those projects come live for advertising. If your next codes and the type of work that you do matches the needs for that contract, you should get those notifications for those IFBs or RFPs. You can download and upload bids and proposals. That's the portal that we use to make sure that all subcontractors interested, have the opportunity to upload that information. You can submit your questions or active solicitations, and you can also look for other interested firms to partner with. Once you're going to see in a little bit, once you do all the registration and you actually go in there to see what contracts are live, you'll be able to also look for other firms that are interested in the same projects as yours. Next slide. So the first step is going to be signing up as a vendor. So once you click on that previous link that we showed you, you're going to see this, and you're going to need to include your email address. That is only the first step. Once you do that and you submit and you sign up and click subscribe to stay up to date with RTD solicitations, that's only the first step, okay? Once you submit that, you're going to get an email. That email, you need to make sure to look for it and click on the link to activate your account. Once you activate your account, you click there. It's going to ask you to set up your account. You can see there the second link where you're going to hit start. The third step is to register your firm. That's where you're going to add your name, last name, company name, and phone number. Very important that you click on that link from your email and complete these steps. Until you do this part, you're really not going to be registered in the sense that you're not going to be getting any information because you haven't completed your registration. So once you complete this part, you enter your name, your last name, company name, you hit next, and then it's going to ask you to set up your profile. This section, you can set up, you can include your company logo. You need to add the commodity codes or next codes that you actually perform. It's very important that you do this step and be very specific. Include every single next code that your company actually works and does as part of your normal services that you offer, because the more specific you are with this information, the more specific you are about what next codes apply to you, is going to result in better information going your way. The system looks for those next codes that match those solicitations, either has a prime or has a subcontractor as part of that project. And based on the next codes, you're going to be getting those notifications. So it's very important that you're very specific and very clear on what next codes you actually perform. You can see that information on the top right of that website that you see there by clicking on the little picture of the person to see your profile. That's where you can see the settings, company profile, and you can adjust all this information that we just shared. One important thing, next one, Tony.
I think this is the right one, unless you want me to skip to the next one. But this is where they add the commodity codes, next codes.
Okay. Sorry, I wasn't looking at the screen. I was looking at my presentation here.
No
so here you can include your next codes. You can see there the options for the category codes and certifications. If you have certifications, make sure to include them. Under category codes, you can see there NIGP codes, next codes, and UNSPSC codes. So the next codes are the ones that we followed and use to ascertain what companies can do what kind of work for our contract. So very important to click on both tabs, include any certifications that you have that are needed for the type of work that you do, and include all the next codes and very specifically what type of work you do so that you can get those notifications.
Looks like we have a question from Tony. Tony, we will address the questions here at the end of the section. So just hold on to your question for a quick second, and then we'll get it addressed here at the end of this portion of the presentation. So just keep in mind, we got a question from Tony.
Yep. So the next thing I wanted to show you here, once you have established your business with RTD, once you have completed all of that information, you can take a look at the second tab there under doing business with RTD, that's current solicitations. Once you click there, you're gonna be able to see any and all solicitations that are currently active for RTD that are out there for open for submission of proposals or bids. You can also see there, before we move on to the next one, the next link on the right shows the upcoming solicitations. That is something that, even though we're not looking at it right now, we're not going to be looking at it, you can definitely click there and that will show you solicitations that are not currently active, but are coming down the pike, are soon to be advertised, so you can take a look at those and prepare in advance for some of that work. Yeah, if we can go back a couple, Tony.
Yeah,
Excellent.
so you got this is what the current solicitations will look like. Go ahead, explain this to them.
Yes. So once you hit on current solicitation, this is what you're gonna be looking at. These are current solicitations open for bidding or proposals. You can see there the information about the title, when it was released, and when the due date is for submitting your proposal or bid. Next. You can, once you click and let's say that you find a contract that you're interested in, that you would like to take a look and see what it's about and what companies are interested, you click on the contract. In this case, we're looking at 13th Avenue Systems Design for RTD Grade Crossings. Once you click in there, you're gonna see this screen over here. On the far right of that screen, you can see the tab labeled Followers. If you click there on followers, that is going to show you the list of companies that have been downloading the information, that have shown interest in this particular contract. And you can see there in the designation column, you can see if they are labeling themselves as a company hoping to participate as a subcontractor, or has a prime, a company actually hoping to download the information and submit bids or proposals, has a prime. So that's a very useful tool for you guys, especially for those contracts that are large, that have plenty of scope, and there's plenty of disciplines that are included in that contract. Maybe you don't want or you can't be a prime for that contract, but you can definitely participate as a subcontractor. Then you definitely want to take a look at that tab, Followers, see what companies have been showing interest in that contract, and you can find there their contact information. You can contact them directly, offer your services as a subcontractor, and that way you can stay connected and not necessarily have to be a prime to be able to participate. You can also look for opportunities as a subcontractor working on larger contracts, right, under a prime for that specific project. So that's very, yes.
Would you explain to them the difference between these ones with SBE goals and the ones without SBE goals, and the benefits of the ones that have SBE goals compared to the ones that don't?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So as you can see there in that slide, there are a few of those contracts. Actually, there's only one there showing a 20% SBE goal, right? That's a custodial and graffiti removal services. So every contract, every solicitation or procurement over $10,000 that RTD puts out there, has to come through our office. Our office reviews those solicitations and make sure if there's a possibility to assign a goal to them. We assign goals. For example, the 20% SBE goal means we have set a goal where at least 20% of that contract should go to RTD certified SBE firms. So those contracts with SBE goals, for those of you that are certified and would like to participate as subcontractors, those are great opportunities for you to look at, click on those and see who are the companies actually downloading the information and willing and planning on submitting proposals. The other contracts, if you do not see a designation of DBE goal in parentheses next to them, that means there's no goal assigned to those particular contracts. This means basically that any company can participate in there. Any company can participate on any of our contracts. However, the ones with no goal attached to it means that there will be no monitoring and no requirement of small business participation. However, we have, even in those cases where we do not assess a goal because of different circumstances, right? It could be because it's a small project. It could be because there's not enough certified firms to set a goal. It could be because of the specific technical requirements of the contract. They do not allow, right, for subcontracting opportunities. However, even in those cases where we do not set a goal, we do the research, we see if there's any certified firms that might be able to do the work even as a prime, right? Maybe there's no room to set a goal. Maybe, for example, we have cleaning services contracts where we do not set a goal because there's only one scope. It's very specific. There's not much subcontracting opportunity. So that's the reason for not setting a goal. However, there are plenty of companies that could actually participate and be the prime. So even for those contracts where there's no goal set, but we do have a list of possible firms that could participate, we send out those notifications to you, let you know that you can take a look at those contracts and hopefully try to participate as a prime. But the specific information that Tony was referring to, whenever you see a contract listed here with a parentheses, 20% goal, 10% goal, those are the contracts where we have assessed the possibility and to reach those goals, and we have assessed those goals based on the information that we get from the preamps and the circumstances of the contract. So in those cases, you can participate as a subcontractor if you're certified and count towards the goal. However, like I said, even if a contract is not showing that there's a goal assigned to it, if the contract has the requirements or the needs for the type of work that you do, you should take a look at it. You don't have to look only on specific contracts with goals. Any contract that you might think that you are able to work on, as long as your register has a vendor with RTD, you should be able to participate, to look for information, submit proposals, and contact any firm that is interested in participating in that contract, so you can team up with them and offer your services as a subcontractor.
Awesome. Great job, Jose. And one thing I wanted to add to this last slide here, the followers list, as Jose was explaining, you could see who's interested in the solicitation as a sub or a prime, but also gives you all of their contact information as well, so that you could reach out to them, send them emails directly, offer your services directly to some of these firms that are following the solicitation that, they might not be involved with this particular solicitation, but always good to do a little bit of networking, a little bit of marketing on your end, reach out to these firms. You do have all their contact information here. So that is going to conclude the first part of the presentation as far as how to access our procurement portal, what you're looking for, setting up your profile, things of that nature. So now we could open it up to some questions. If anybody has any questions, feel free to raise your hand, unmute yourself, and go ahead and ask questions at this point. So.
Are there any questions right now about this first part of the presentations? Yes, please go ahead. Maria.
Good morning, everybody. Yes, so I work for a small business based in Houston, and we're trying to expand our market footprint, and Denver is one of our target markets. But we are also very aware that the federal government issued the IFR, the interim final rule, last October, and so I'm wondering, how is your office navigating through the recertification process, and whether it's still important for us to, well, we'll have to get recertified first in our home state, and then that process will go to the other states where we do business. But how are you managing that? And is it still a viable opportunity for small businesses like ours who are in this limbo to continue to pursue and also indicate that we are a small business, even though we haven't been recertified?
Yeah,
Yes.
so I'll let Jose address that, but I will just let you know right off the bat here, we're going to get into the certification portion here in just a second, but RTD does not certify DBEs. We only certify SBEs. So the personal narrative requirement for getting recertified as a DBE does not apply to RTD's SBE certification program, but I will allow Jose to go in a little bit more depth of how we're, tackling the IFR and what we're doing. So.
Yeah, thank you, Tony. So, Maria, yes, like Tony mentioned, RTD is a member, a participant of the Colorado UCP, Unified Certification Program. However, we are participant. We're not a certifying agency for DBEs. Our office, Tony actually heads our certification program for SBEs, and I'm not gonna jump the gun there. He's gonna give you a lot of information about that in a second. But for you to know, yes, because of the IFR from October of last year, starting October 3rd, all the DBEs were, let's say, put on hold or pause. There's no participation being counted on any of our projects, and we have not been able to set any DBE goals on federally funded projects. DBE goals are assigned only on federally funded projects. SBE goals are assigned on locally funded projects with RTD. So the way we're working with it, our contracts that were already executed, open and running at the time of the IFR are still running with the same goals, and we haven't changed anything. We're just not counting participation at the time. And in new contracts that we are issuing, we got clarification from the US DOT back a couple months ago, or 3 months ago already. And actually we are allowed, RTD is allowed to look for and set SBE goals. Since we have an SBE program besides our DBE program, we are allowed to look for opportunities to set SBE goals on federally funded contracts. So what RTD is currently doing, we are on locally funded contracts. We're still setting our SBE goals as normally we do. But for those federal funded contracts, we are also at this time assessing SBE goals. And by the way, RTD is only at this time accepting RTD SBE certified firms to meet those goals. Prior, a few years back, because of COVID and circumstances surrounding that, RTD actually included SBE participation from the city and DBE participation as part of our SBE goals, right? If we had a SBE goal on a contract, we would accept City and County of Denver SBEs and City and County of Denver and CDOT DBEs to be part of that participation. However, that's not the case anymore. We have our program back up and running. Tony's leading the way there. So at this time, RTD is only accepting SBE certified with RTD for our projects with SBE goals. So a good thing for you guys to know before I hand it over to Tony, this information that he's going to share with you is very important. If you are like yourself, Maria, you used to be certified DBE, you are in that process of recertification, please go ahead. We really want to encourage everybody to get recertified. It's really important that the program stays strong so that we can continue to set those goals and continue to implement that program. However, we're also encouraging every firm that is interested and would qualify to get certified with us as an SBE, since there's really, at least here in Colorado, we don't have a set date of when CDOT and City and County of Denver are going to reactivate the UCP directory. We have been talking with them. We are assisting them in trying to get that process running and completed, but we don't have a date yet. So it might be a couple months, it might be 6 months. In the meantime, you can definitely get certified with us. Tony's really good about getting you certified quickly. And you can get it's free of charge. Please, I'm not going to continue talking about SBE until Tony actually does it. But yes, that's what we are trying to get you, the information that we are trying to convey here. Our program is free of charge, and Tony's going to share that. And that's the best way for you to continue to expand your business and hopefully get more opportunities with us.
So
thank you, Jose.
That was very, very helpful, because we were not aware there was a separate certification with RTD. So there is no reciprocity if we're SBE certified with City and County of Denver, correct?
Not with us. At
Not
this
with you.
time,
Okay,
with
perfect.
RTD only accepts RTD SBE certified firms.
That
That's
is,
correct.
that is the takeaway from this presentation. Thank you so much.
You're
No
welcome.
problem. Thank you.
Tony, did you still have a question? Do you want to unmute yourself, or you could, if you feel more comfortable, putting them in the chat. I can't see the chat, but Jose could address them if they're in the chat.
Yes, at this point, you can unmute, or you can, please, moving forward, write your question in the chat. I'm going to be monitoring, and I'll try to answer any questions you guys submitted via the chat.
No, it was also more so a question, but I just when it comes to the goals, I wanted to kind of it's more of a so comment, a commend to RTD for putting those goals out right away at the beginning or at the project what do you call it, the project name, right? With the parentheses, because we know we navigate OpenGov all the time and we look for those. And with BitNet or these other systems, not so much, but it's more so a comment though. I just wanted to commend RTD
Awesome.
for that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, awesome.
Thank
And
you.
the very important thing to know about that is, and Jose just got into it a little bit. I don't really cover it in my presentation, but something we started doing, and Jose just covered it. Any of those ones with the SBE goals. So you only saw one on there, but what we're looking to do, obviously, being able to open it up to federally funded projects as well. We're obviously trying to put as many SBE goals as we can. And with the ones that have SBE goals, keep in mind that we're only going to utilize our database of certified SBEs for the ones that have those goals on them. So it's going to drastically shrink your competition levels down from everybody in the state, outside, the state, just to SBEs that are certified under RTD to hit those goals. So it's going to drastically shrink your competition level down to maybe just 5-10 people that you're competing with instead of the entire state, outside states as well. So something just to keep in mind. Those ones with goals are very important, but also the ones without goals are also extremely important. And Jose's going to get into that, give you guys a little bit of numbers on how many people are working on projects outside of the ones that have goals and whatnot. So stay tuned, because we'll be going over that information here shortly as well. So any more questions, comments, concerns? Okay, perfect. You got anything in the chat, Jose? If not, I'll just move on to my portion here. All right, perfect. So we talked about OpenGov, how to access OpenGov. Now we're going to talk about taking it a step further. So what we recommend here at RTD is that everybody, regardless of your certification status, that you register as a vendor in OpenGov so that you are aware of opportunities, you receive opportunities, and you kind of know what RTD is all about and what we're doing. So that's going to be your first step to do the registration as a vendor in OpenGov. If you want to take it a step further and acquire a certification, here is kind of the process of how to do so and why it's important to do so. So what is an SBE? An independently operating small business owned and controlled by one or more economically disadvantaged individuals. So SBE, as you can see, it's all about this portion down here, this economically disadvantaged individuals. It's a race and gender neutral program, unlike all the other programs, the DBEs, the MWBEs, emerging small businesses, ESBs, all those acronyms, they have different requirements as far as race, gender, ethnicity. Ours is race, gender neutral. All we focus on is this economically disadvantaged individuals section, and I'll get into that a little bit more here on what we're looking for when it comes to you qualifying as a small business and being economically disadvantaged. This kind of is a little bit of a map on the two differences between DBE certifications, SBE certifications. Keep in mind, our agency is only a certifier of SBE certifications, not DBE certifications, but this is a good little tool to kind of give you the main differences between the two. So DBE certifications, if you think DBE, think federally funded. Anything with federal dollars, they typically foster DBE participation, where SBE participation falls more under the locally funded side of things. Here at RTD, I'd say, and I'm sure Dane and Ryan are pretty good resources on this, but I'd say probably 90-95% of our projects are locally funded projects, so that makes the SBE certification a little bit, more important, because we deal a lot with locally funded dollars, but we do have some federally funded projects that we are trying to implement putting SBE goals on. So for DBE certifications, you could acquire your DBE certification through either the Colorado Department of Transportation or the City and County of Denver for your DBE certifications. For SBE certifications, certified by RTD. City and County also has their own SBE certification program, but keep in mind, two completely different agencies, two completely different certifications. So if you're certified in one, it doesn't make you certified in the other. So just keep that in mind, that RTD's SBE certification program is a standalone certification program. So it's, fostered by RTD. RTD implements all of our rules, so on and so forth. So we do work in tandem with City and County, but keep in mind that the certification programs are completely separate. A lot of people always say, hey, I'm certified with City and County. Why do I need RTD's SBE certification? Kind of what we went into earlier. Any of the projects with goals, if you're not SBE certified through RTD, you're not going to be able to participate with the ones that have, SBE local goals on them. So keep that in mind. DBE certifications, once you are certified, your firm is listed on Colorado Unified Certification Program database. Once you're certified SBE with RTD, your firm does get listed on RTD's SBE program directory, which is a public-facing directory on the website that Jose showed earlier, the rtddenver.com. You will be able to see all of our certified firms, and we'll get into this last part here in a second, but other agencies are utilizing that database to find a list of certified small businesses, and we'll get into that in just a second here. So for DBE certifications, you must be honored by all accepting financial assistance by U.S. Department of Transportation. That's where this federally comes into play again, is anybody receiving money from U.S. Department of Transportation, you must honor that certification, the DBE certification. SBE certification is honored by RTD, Denver Public Schools, Denver Water, Excel Energy, Denver Housing Authority. So you could pretty much think of this as a 5-in-1 certification, because in addition to RTD, these other agencies are utilizing our directory and our certification to help find small businesses for the work that they need completed as well for their solicitations. And we'll kind of go into where to look for those opportunities as well. But just wanted to put that out there that, it is kind of a 5-in-1 certification because all these other agencies are utilizing our database as well. So why should your firm get certified as RTD's SBE? First and foremost, no cost for processing or certification, completely cost-free to you, no cost to register as a vendor, no cost to apply, no cost, for annual updates, recertifications, things of that nature. So you'll never pay RTD $1 for your certification or to, be part of our vendor list as well. No cost marketing tool and increased visibility and contact with primes and agencies. So Jose kind of went into how you can market your firm a little bit more utilizing that followers tab. You're going to get invites to pre-bid meetings, things of that nature as well. But being able to market your firm as an SBE certified firm is extremely important. And having the tools to do so is what we're hoping to accomplish with getting you certified. Increase opportunities to fill and count toward SBE contract goals on all locally or federally funded projects. So as we discussed earlier, the federally is kind of a new thing that we're starting to do, is try to put the SBE goals on federally funded projects if we can. Jose went over a list of, things that we look for and why we can or cannot add goals, but we are looking to give you guys more opportunities by putting SBE goals on federally funded projects as well now. You get direct invitation emails and notifications for pre-bid meetings, just kind of went over that. We also do a lot of webinars on how to better use your certification, meetings with prime contractors, all kinds of different webinars that we're doing every 2 to 3 months. And you will receive email invitations to those types of meetings if you are certified with us. If you're not certified, unfortunately, we don't really have a way of reaching out to you. So we will make sure that if you are a certified firm, that you are included and invited to all these different types of webinars and meetings that we lead to help you guys grow your small businesses. And protected contract provisions, prompt payment as Jose alluded to earlier, retainage release and non-termination for convenience. So no prime contractor, say you're a subcontractor on a project, a prime contractor can't just remove you from the project because for whatever reason, they just, they don't want to work with you anymore. They can't do that. So what would happen is they would have to submit reasons why. We would do an investigation and determine if they have reasonable cause to do so. But this is another protection for SBEs, including the prompt payment and obviously the non-termination for convenience. All right, so I will let Jose jump back in and go over these numbers here and to kind of explain to you, the differences between what we're seeing with projects that have goals and projects that don't have goals. So go ahead, Jose.
Yes, thank you, Tony. So those numbers that you see there is basically our SBE participation as of a few days ago, I guess, when we updated. So what we have in the first part, RTDs, SBEs as primes or subcontractors. And these are where for those contracts where we have assessed a goal. So there is an SBE goal assigned to it. We have SBE participating as primes, certified SBEs that are acting as prime contractors in those contracts amount to $27 million are going to those firms that are prime certified with RTD as a SBE. As far as subcontractors that are certified as SBEs participating in contracts with goals as subcontractors, that adds up to about $7 million more in participation. Now we have, like I mentioned when I was talking about my part initially, you don't have to participate only on contracts with goals if you are certified SBE. There are contracts, and that's the second part of that slide, where we have not assigned a goal because of different circumstances. Maybe there was only one scope of work. Maybe the contract value wasn't big enough that was subcontractable scopes. Maybe it's a sole source. There are many reasons why we might not be able to set a goal. However, that's no an excuse, right? There's no reason why you, as a certified firm, cannot participate. In those contracts, we have contracts with no goal assigned to them, either DBE or SBE. However, the contract ended up being awarded to a certified firm with RTD. And that's not because of any preference or anything like that. It's just that the firm actually bid or proposed an amount and was selected based on merits, based on the value of their proposal. So nothing to do with the certification. However, they are certified, right? So we track those numbers. And in those contracts where we do not set a goal, but the prime is an RTD SBE firm, that's also about, $47 million in participation. So when you add up all those numbers, as far as participation as a prime or subcontractor with contracts with or without a goal, that right there adds up to roughly 90 million, a little 90 plus $91 million or something like that. So as you can see, there is a lot of opportunities for SBEs to participate with us, either on contracts with goals as a prime or as a subcontractor to help the prime meet those goals, or even if there's no goal assigned to the contract, you can still participate, you can still submit a bid, and hopefully, like you've seen here, there are companies that being certified, they get awarded contracts even when there's no goal assigned to them. So that is the goal of our program, is to provide opportunities and see small businesses grow to the point where they can prime some of these contracts and participate as primes. Our goal is to have you all participate as SBEs and to get to the point where you graduate from the program and you're too big for us to say that you're small. So those are some of the numbers that I think are good for you to know, so that you can see that there's plenty of business opportunities for you with RTD.
Thank you, Jose. Yeah, that's very, very important. As he said, we have a lot we showed you earlier, the ones that have SBE goals. We don't want you to focus primarily on the ones where goals have been set, even though there are some benefits to doing so, as we discussed, such as, your competition levels drastically shrinking. But as you can see from these numbers here, the 47 million, We have firms that are RTD SBE certified with us that are the prime contractors on all those solicitations that you see. So, if you have the capabilities, the staff, the equipment to be a prime, don't hesitate to, put a feeler out there, put your bids out there, your proposals out there, see if you could become a prime on some of these contracts, because it's working for a lot of our certified firms, based off of these numbers here, the 47 million. So thank you, Jose, for that. All right, so continuing on with the presentation here on why your firm should be a certified SBE, increase your chances on getting contract opportunities as prime or subcontractors. The more certified firms, the better the chances to include contract goals. RTD has projects or contracts related to all these different scopes of work. So as it says here, better chances to include contract goals. The more of you guys that we have certified in each of these different scopes of work, the more goals we could put on these contracts, because it does have to be an equal playing field. So if we only have two people certified or one person certified, in that particular scope of work, high likelihood we're not going to put a goal on there, because we do need to promote equal opportunity to these particular contracts and opportunities. But this slide in particular is just to get an idea of the types of work that we have seen come across, the desk that we've done goal assessments on, to see if we could put SBE goals on these particular types of contracts. A lot of people think RTD, they think mostly, we are very heavy construction, but we do have a need for all different scopes of work. So people think RTD, they think trains, light rails, that's great. But we have all different types of work that we need to get certified firms in, so that they could, help us with these types of solicitations, this type of work. Anything from HR, training and development, to software developers, engineering, architectural services, big one, janitorial, custodial, snow removal, graffiti removal, all big ones. We have a lot of caterers that we try to utilize for, company outings, things of that nature, automobile, bus parts, office furniture, anything you could think of, painting, roofing, electrical, HVAC, plumbing, flagging, traffic control. We do it all. So if you don't see your specific scope on here, I wouldn't get too concerned with that, because we don't know what's coming down the pipeline. We always have a need for all different types of scopes of work. And it will just give you a better chance at obtaining the work, if there's a limited amount of people that, can perform that work for RTDs. So. All right, so as we discussed earlier, other agencies honoring RTD's SBE certification, you guys will get an email with this presentation. So don't feel like you have to, if you want to take a screenshot of the next slide, go for it. But I will email this out. But this is the agencies that are accepting our certification: Denver Public Schools, Excel Energy, Denver Water, Denver Housing Authority. So going back to that 5-in-1 certification. Here is how you will access all of their opportunities as well. You'll let them know that you are SBE certified with RTD. Should give you a little bit of a advantage there if that's something that they're looking for. Some of them use BidNet. It looks like the majority of them are using BidNet. Denver Housing, I believe, has their own procurement portal, but a lot of them look like they're using BidNet. Keep in mind that we use OpenGov, but these are the links to these particular agencies so that you could get a look at what they're offering as well. And so you could better utilize your certification and open it up to these other agencies. All right, so the fun stuff now, how to get certified as RTD's SBE. So this is a little bit of a flow chart on how we do our certifications here at RTD. We utilize B2G Now, so if you're familiar with, or if you have any other certifications, a lot of agencies are using B2G Now, so it should look extremely familiar if you've ever been through this process. But you will submit your application and supporting documents through the B2G Now platform. I will then receive your application and do a preliminary review just to make sure that there's no information missing from your application or any additional documents that I need to review before I could make the final determination. So you'll submit your app, I'll do a review, kick it back to you. If there's anything missing, you'll re-upload those documents or answer any questions that I have. Then I'll continue my review, do a full review of the certification application. If you are a manufacturer, we do site visits. So if you are requesting any manufacturing NAICS codes, we will, make sure that you have a warehouse. You have all the raw materials to create the finished product that you're looking to do. and you have the machinery and all that good stuff. So that's only for manufacturing NAICS codes. If you're just looking for general codes for your scope of work, we won't do a site visit unless it's a supplier or manufacturer NAICS code. And then we'll do a certification determination. So typically we ask for 45 days in the process, but if you are, going to give us what we're looking for pretty soon after I request it, we usually can get them done in, anywhere from, 4 to 10 business days. So it won't take you too long to get certified as long as you're on top of getting me the documents that I'm requesting from you. So it's extremely quick process. Obviously, that's going to depend on, workload, how many, applications we have to review. But typically, it shouldn't take you any more than, a full 7 business days to get certified with us. So does your firm qualify? So I'd like to tell people, if you meet these requirements, then 95% of the time, you're not going to have any issues with obtaining RTD's SBE certification. That first one being the business must be at least 51% owned by one or more economically or financially disadvantaged individuals whose personal net worth is less than 2.47 million, 2.047 million, I should say. So this is kind of going back to my original statement of what we focus on, which is economically disadvantaged individuals. So keep in mind, however many people you have in your ownership structure to hit that 51% are the amount of people that need to hit this 2.47 million qualification. And keep in mind that that's separate from one another. So, for example, there are 3 owners of the firm that each own 33.33%. 2 of the 3 are going to have to hit this qualification, this under 2.047 million, to qualify as an economically disadvantaged. The reason for that is 33% isn't enough to hit 51, so you'll have to add a second member to hit that 51% ownership, which would then become 66 if you add a separate, owner. But keep in mind that the 2.047 million are separate from one another, so it's not a combined amount, and that amount will exclude the equity in your primary residence as well as your IRA retirement accounts. So that those numbers, although they will be included on your personal financial statement, I backed those out of my calculation because if we didn't exclude the equity in primary residence and the IRA retirement accounts, we'd have a lot of issues with people being able to qualify. So keep in mind that that 2.47 million does not include any equity in your primary residence or IRA retirement accounts when you're filling out your personal financial statements. The owners must be U.S. citizens or lawfully admitted permanent residents. So either U.S. citizen or green card holder. Work visas, those do not work for purposes of SBE certification. The average gross receipts for the business for the past 3 years cannot exceed 32.82 million. This number just went up in the last month from 31.84 to 32.82 million. That's on a 3-year average. If you're over that amount, we can take into account up to 5 years tax returns to try to help you get under that number to qualify as a small business with our certification program. And the last one is a big one as well. The qualifying owners must demonstrate ownership, control, and independence of the business. Ownership, pretty easy to prove with your tax returns. Tells you who the owners are, or operating agreements, bylaws. It'll break down the ownership percentages. So that one's not too hard to prove. The control, keep in mind that the majority owner, the 51% owner or more, has to be in control of the firm. So say you have ownership percentages at 75%, and then you have, a bunch of 5% owners below that. If that 75% owner is not the one in control of the company as the majority owner, they won't be able to obtain the certification. So the majority owners need to have, control, final say in the company's business practices. We'll go back to that. And just so you guys are aware, we already touched on this, the SBE program is open to any qualifying small business, regardless of the race or gender of its owner. So race, gender neutral program. So what do you need to apply for the program? Your completed RTD SBE application in B2G Now, the RTD specific personal financial statement for each owner who makes up 51% or more ownership of the firm. If you're not familiar with the personal financial statements, that's where you'll have your assets on one side, liabilities on the other side, and that's kind of how we calculate your net worth. Federal tax returns for the firm and all affiliates for the past 3 to 5 years. We only require the 3 years. We will only require 5 if for whatever reason we need to try to get you under that threshold. Maybe you had a couple years that were less promising as far as the gross receipts. that could help you get under that number. But we're only looking for 3 on the original application. So 3 years business tax returns, 3 years personal federal tax returns for each owner. That makes up the 51%. So if there's 2 of you, we'll need to, get your tax returns for both of you for your personal tax returns. And the reason we're looking at your personal tax returns is mostly for the personal net worth side of things. We're not digging into your history too much, but we need to make sure you don't have any rental properties, any additional businesses, things of that nature that are not, included on your personal financial statement. So that's why we're going through your tax returns, current resumes of all owners, directors, officers, and key personnel. So if on the application, you'll have a section that, breaks down the management of your company, who takes care of certain segments of your work. If you put any individual other than the owners in there, keep in mind that we will review their resumes to make sure they have the qualifications to be running that portion of your company for you, essentially. So licenses and certifications required by firms' operations. So if you are an engineer, engineering licenses are required. Depending on the type of NAICS codes you're requesting, an engineering firm would need an engineering license on file, things of that nature, HVAC licenses, stuff like that. But we'll request those, as needed. Certificate of good standing by Colorado Secretary of State. This just means that you've filed your periodic reports with the state on time, and you're in good standing with the state to continue conducting business in the state of Colorado. Certificate of trade name by Colorado Secretary of State. So if you are a DBA doing business as a separate entity other than the main title for your firm, this is the form that's going to be required as a trade name, so that we could have your in there as a DBA doing business as. So statement of foreign entity authority by Colorado Secretary of State. So we had a question earlier from a firm that's outside of the state of Colorado. This is extremely important. If your firm is not registered in the state of Colorado, you'll need to obtain this form. It's called the Statement of Foreign Entity. You apply with the state of Colorado so that you can conduct business in the state of Colorado. It's not too hard to attain, but just something that is required for all states that are registered outside of the state of Colorado. And then you will provide an equipment list, a list of equipment owned and leased by the firm to provide your scope of work, and then itemized list of available inventory for suppliers, manufacturers. All right, so how do you submit your application and send your documents? As we said, via B2G Now, you'll get this link, or you can take a screenshot of this link. Via email, you could email everything to sbo@rtd-denver.com if you feel more comfortable doing it that way. We used to do secure uploads, but B2G Now is a secure platform, so it's kind of one and the same at that point. We used to do everything by hand, by email, so if you needed a secure upload, we would give you that link. We still could if need be. Don't hesitate to ask if that's something you need. And then old school through USPS. All right, so you're certified as RTD's SBE, but not yet getting any contracts. Why am I not getting contracts or work with RTD? This kind of goes back to what we discussed at the beginning. These are main things that we see when people say, hey, how do I get my hands on more work? We go through and we ask these questions. Are you visiting OpenGov regularly to know about current and upcoming solicitations? If you're not, there is a backup plan where you will receive notifications from our compliance officers whenever there's a solicitation that comes out and meets your NAICS codes. But keep in mind that's kind of a backup, right? You need to be in here looking at these opportunities because sometimes things do get missed. Maybe you don't have the appropriate NAICS codes, but you could perform that work. Make sure you're monitoring OpenGov, because at that point, if you don't have the NAICS code, but you can perform that work and you can prove to me that you can perform that work, I could add that NAICS code so that you could be active on some of these solicitations. So make sure you're not just depending on RTD to reach out to you, that you are looking, in OpenGov for current upcoming solicitations. Is your OpenGov profile updated with the applicable NAICS codes? If they're not, contracts and procurement can't reach out to you because you don't have the NAICS codes appropriate for that solicitation. So that's why Jose said it's important to make sure that you're adding all NAICS codes, but keep in mind your NAICS codes are not a wish list. They need to be things that you guys are ready, willing, and able to perform tomorrow if called upon, not something that you hope to perform in the future. Make sure you have the equipment ready, the staff ready to go, and make sure that you're ready, willing, and able to perform those NAICS codes that you're getting certified in. Are you attending to pre-bid and pre-proposal meetings? There are a lot of information, good information that's put on in these pre-bid and pre-proposal meetings that you need to be aware of. So are you attending these meetings when you receive those? How many bids or proposals have you submitted and still not got the contract? If you're not submitting any bids or proposals, it's kind of hard to, receive these contracts as a prime. As a subcontractor, a little bit different. But if you're not submitting bids or proposals or active in the OpenGov procurement portal, it's going to be hard to get your hands on some of these. So make sure the moral of the story here is make sure you're very active in OpenGov. And then finally, have you requested a debriefing meeting through OpenGov if contract was not awarded? So if you did submit a bid or proposal and you weren't selected, make sure you are asking contracts and procurement why you were not selected. Request a debriefing meeting so you could get a better understanding of why your bid was not selected. Maybe it was price. Maybe you didn't follow the directions 100% the way that they needed to, but they will give you a debriefing on why your bid or your proposal was not selected. So definitely utilize that if you do submit a bid or proposal that is not accepted. So. Have you visited the followers section in OpenGov looking for other firms listed as primes and reached out to them to offer your services as subcontractors? Are you responding to potential primes email blasts and requests for bids, leveraging your certification status? So the primes will get a list of firms that are certified with RTD as SBEs, and they have their due diligence and good faith to reach out to those subcontractors and those SBE certified firms to ask them if they could perform the work on these specific solicitations and contracts. So if you're not responding to the primes, you're missing opportunities on some of these opportunities here. So are you attending RTD's business station webinars where other firms and primes also attend to extend your networking and strengthen your partnerships? As we discussed earlier, you will receive invitations to these types of meetings and webinars when you are certified SBE with RTD. I send them out to every certified firm that we have. They are very, very beneficial for you, not only to learn about what RTD is doing, things that are coming up in the pipeline, but also to strengthen relationships with other prime contractors and subcontractors as well. And then last but not least, are you visiting the other sister agencies to look for contracting opportunities? So you have a list to their procurement portals. They utilize our certification. They utilize our database of certified SBEs. So make sure you're looking for opportunities in there as well. A couple things coming up. Here on June 23rd, we're going to do a how to use RTD certification with other agencies, a virtual presentation where we will have representatives from Denver Housing Authority, Denver Water, Excel Energy, and RTD to go over how to access opportunities in their portals and how to utilize our certification with those other agencies. On July 14th, RTD's Open House. It's an in-person event at RTD's Executive Building, 1660 Blake Street, where contracts, procurement, RTD Small Business Office will all be there. And it's just an open house where you could come in, meet our procurement agents, meet our SBO squad, and, talk to us a little bit more about, what your business does and how you could be, beneficial to RTD and how we could utilize you. And then finally, be on the lookout for RTD's SBO newsletter On the Look. We're going to start featuring some of you guys as, newly certified SBEs. And some good information in there as well. So with that being said, here is some more contact information for Alexis Serrano, who is the manager of the SBO office, myself, certification specialist, and I forgot to change this, but Jose's information as well. If you need that, don't hesitate to reach out to me and I could give you his information as well. But thank you all so much for attending. If you have any questions, we could use the last couple minutes here to address any of those questions, but we appreciate you guys starting your day with us here on this Wednesday. So,
and Tony, sorry to interrupt you there. Thank you everybody for attending today's meeting. I need to log out. I have another meeting. If you have any questions related to me or what I do, please ask Tony. And if he cannot answer it, he'll make sure to forward it to me and I'll send you the answer via email. Thank you all for attending.
Absolutely. Yep. Thanks, Jose. All right, so if we have any questions in regards to the certification side of things, now, don't hesitate to unmute yourself and, let me know what kind of questions you have. So. Okay. Mike, are you seeing anything on your end?
No, just thank you in the chat, and that's about it.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you all very much for your attendance today, and don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions or if you come up with anything later on. Just shoot us an email and we'll get that addressed for you. So thank you, everybody, and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you.